I have to do black here. Got something to show you. 1, 2, 3. What are these? 3 brand new Ford lugs that Discount Tire bought. These are all the cheap one-piece lugs that I took off because they were rusting. This happened less than a month of them being on my truck. That's another video. I just had to show y'all that. All right, I want to tell y'all a story about my father. He bought a 1974 Grand Fury police car. Actually, I don't think it was a police, well, it was a cop car, but I think it was a detective car. I don't think it ever had a light bar because it didn't have holes in the top of the car. There was no signs of holes in the top of the car. I think it was a detective car or whatever. But anyway, I think he bought it from this auction off of Cheshire Bridge. It's not there anymore. It was called Futo, F-U-T-O. Anywho, I also believe he said he paid $80 for this car. I think that's what he said he paid. But the car did run. It had a cop motor, cop transmission, cop rear end, cop shocks. I don't think it had catalytic converters, and we ran a regular unleaded gas on it. But anyway, I never saw the movie Blues Brothers. When I used to drive this car, people used to say to me all the time, "You're driving the Bluesmobile." I never knew what they were talking about. I never seen the movie. I always thought the movie had something to do with black people. Well, I guess it did. But the main characters were white. They did wear black. But anyway, this car, again, had a 440. I don't know how much horsepower. I think I looked it up online and it might have said something like 240 horsepower, 245, something like that. It was 1974, so it wasn't a lot. Well, the car was probably the fastest full-size American car I had ever driven. Yeah, I think it was. The car was fun to drive. It had dual exhaust. It sounded like a muscle car, but it wasn't real loud. The mufflers were, I'm sure they were stock mufflers. They were big, full-size, dual mufflers. You know, come to think of it, you drive a Chrysler now with a 392 or a Hemi, and the cars are pretty loud. Chrysler, that 74 Grand Fury was pretty loud, you know, for a regular car. Anyway, the car was fun to drive. It had a quicker ratio steering. I don't know what the gear steering ratio was, but it was quick for a full-size American car. It had strong brakes. It rolled kind of hard. You know, it was a Chrysler, so you know the front end was messed up. Back then, I don't think I ever drove a Chrysler with a good front end, especially if it was an old car. And I think the car would run, I believe I've been about 120 in the car, but I didn't go much faster. You could start to smell rubber in the front end. I kid you not. So I never really took it past about 120. How fast it would go, I don't know. Oh, by the way, it had 140 mile per hour speedometer. And like I said, I don't think I ever went over 120. But it was pretty fast. It was a fun car to drive because it was a big full-size car, but it felt like a Camaro or something. You know, I mean, you step on the gas, it would go. You know, a lot of American cars, you step on the gas, they would, you know, they'd twist or the front end would jack up, and then the car would go. And it would pull off slow. But this car didn't. You step on the gas, it would just jump. It would go. I don't know what the gear ratio rear end was. Whatever cop car gear ratio was, I don't know what it was. Somebody said it was 342, but I don't really think it was that low because the car ran pretty good on the highway. I don't know. If I guess 308, no lower than 327, but probably 308. But anyway, it was a step down diff. And what I mean by step down, you all know what a differential looks like in the back, the rear end. The pipes that ran off the center section were thick, and when they got like halfway out, they drop down to a smaller diameter. I mean, you can actually see this. It also had it was my first taste of a limited slip differential. I'll tell you what it would do. If you stand at a red light, you stomp the gas, it'll pull off spinning the right wheel. But it didn't just spin and not go anywhere. It would spin and accelerate at the same time. I could feel the difference. I knew it wasn't just a one wheel spin. Yeah, it spent one wheel, but again, it didn't just sit in one spot. It would accelerate out of the hole. So I had a feeling it had a limited slip, and I'm sure it did. When it rained, I remember the first time I drove it in rain, I figured because of the limited slip, right, it was gonna, spin the right wheel for a little while and then spin the left wheel. No. In the rain, it'll just light up the right wheel. Just light up the right wheel. It always did that. Don't know why. But if you made a left turn and you stomp it, it would spin both wheels. Something else, I found out how to lock the rear in that car. It was two ways to do it, but I'm gonna tell you the first way first. I was messing around in the parking lot with some friends, and I pulled up. I would do this thing where I would pull up, 10 to 15 miles per hour. I would slam the parking brake down. The back wheels would lock up. Then I would jump out the car. And the car would be slide and it would come to a stop and it would scare the hell out of people. I was the only person, I need to make a video of that. No, I probably hurt myself trying to get out of that Cadillac. But yeah, I used to do that. I used to pull up 15, 20 miles, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. I would slam the parking brake down and jump out the car. The car would slide to a stop. But anyway, I forgot I had done that to the car. So I got into the car. I put it in drive. Oh, that's right. I used to push the parking brake and throw it in park. And it would slide. I'll jump out while I slide. But anyway, the point is this. I got into the car. I put it in drive. And I forgot the parking brake was on. So I hit the gas and the car pulled off a little bit. And then I realized the brakes was on. So I popped the parking brake. And then I stomped the gas. When I stomped the gas, it pulled off both rear wheels spinning. And I quickly realized why it did that. So I again pushed the parking brake down, stepped on the gas, it would, and released the parking brake, stomped the gas, and it would spin. That's how I found out how to get both wheels to spin. Another way I found out how to get both wheels to spin was this. If you put the transmission in reverse and stomp the gas a little bit, spin the wheel, and then put it in drive, it would spin both wheels that way also. Now, this car, a friend of mine had a 72 Impala with a 400 small block. Now, I had a 73 Impala with a regular 350 4-barrel. Now, his 400 small block had a 2-barrel. My 73 had a 4-barrel 350. He would spank my butt left and right until that cop car. He couldn't mess with that cop car. Of course, he had a 400. The cop car had a 440. But what else we used to do to that thing? We used to ride around everywhere. And it was just a fun car to drive. It sounded good. It would go. It would stop. It would turn. All right. The transmission, my father did not believe in changing transmission fluid. He told me several times, if you do that, you mess up the transmission. He was old school and he was wrong in that thinking. A lot of our transmissions would have lasted a lot longer if he had showed me how to drop the pan and change the filter. He knew how to do it. He was just afraid to do it. I mean, growing up, I used to joke and say I couldn't drive an automatic. And I couldn't because I would tear them up. I would burn up the gears and burn up the clutches. And the reason why, because I drove really hard and these was old transmissions and they needed the filter change. Now, I don't want to go into big detail because I have a video called Don't Pay to Have Your Transmission Flushed. Watch that video. It's a long, boring ass video, but anyway, let me tell you this. The older transmission, they were used. And a lot of time the filter was dirty. When the filter is dirty, the pump can't pump enough pressure to keep the clutches from slipping. so the clutches slip, which create even more dust, which make the clutches slip even more, and they eventually burn up. So if we had a drop the pan on this Chrysler, change the filter, and put new fluid in it, it probably would have lasted longer. But get back to it. When you drive the transmission hard, you pull up to a red light, and when the light turned green, you step on the gas, it felt like it had a trance brake, like it was locked in gear. It wouldn't move for like a second, and then it would boom and just take off. It did not have a trance brake, but it would do that. I don't know why, but anywho, the rear end, ever since we had the car, the rear end made a lot of noise. It was bad. I took the cover off and changed the fluid in it, but it was too late. It had run dry and it messed up the bearings in it. I put new fluid in it, it didn't help. My father was afraid that one day it was going to lock up and we was going to lose control of the car and crash, so he made me change the rear end. If it was left up to me, I would have never changed the rear end because I knew it had that cop car gearing and that limited slip, and that made it fun to drive. And I knew he had a New Yorker or something that we took the rear end out of and put in there, and I knew it was going to suck. I knew it was going to suck, and damn if it did. Rather. First of all, the cop car drive shaft, the yoke was wider than the yoke on the New Yorker rear end or whatever. I mean, you could clearly see that the cop car rear end was much bigger than the New Yorker or whatever that rear end the car came out of. But the drive shaft, the yokes, just say these were the yoke, they were so wide that they were sticking out of the yoke on the diff. And I had to like center them and then put the clamps on. Anyway, I first drove the car, like, oh my God. It felt like a normal full-size Chrysler. Slow, I mean, it was still faster because it had that 440, but it was slow, sluggish. It would just spin one wheel, and it just was not fun to drive no more. I used to still drive it, but it was not fun to drive. And eventually the transmission burned up in it because of that extra weight of pulling that tall gear. And he never did get the transmission rebuilt, and he ended up junking the car or whatever. But after the change the rear end, I didn't even like driving it no more. But that was a fun car. I mean, it had an oil, I think it had an oil cooler, it had a transmission cooler, it had like rubber covered seats, it had rubber floors, it had a button on the dash, you push, the trunk would pop open. It was just, it was a nice car. I mean, I would love to have it now, but only if it has the cop everything in it, right? And that's my story of that Grand Fury. I can't really think much else, because like I said, when it changed rear end, it became a sorry piece of crap. But anyway, this is Dre. Hope you enjoyed the video. Any question? Oh, by the way, please like my video. And if you have any questions or comment, leave them. Don't be afraid to leave comments. I said this on another video where I said that if you lie, I'm going to erase your video. Your comment. Guys who don't lie, don't be afraid to leave comments. Again, I can tell real stuff from fact. Okay, so if you want to leave a comment and you know you think it's true, no, it's true. Go ahead and leave it. I can pretty much tell true from false. But anyway, this is Dre. I hope you enjoyed the video. Oh, by the way, this is the first video of 2020. I just realized that. So happy New Year to everybody. And that's about all I got to say. This is Dre. Y'all have a good day. Bye.